Good morning, everyone. On the tape as well. Good Chodesh, Kuf Chav Dalid, Yesh Neuchlin, Parak Shmini, Bava Basra. Zok the Gemara. We were talking yesterday about the Nechasim, the Shvach Sheshivchu Nechasim La'achar Mitas Avihen. Father dies, leaves the house in Thornhill. 3 months later, it's 70% more than it was 3 months before. And Lamaisa, what happens? Does the Bechor get double in that 70% increase, or does he only get a double portion? We said an additional portion in the original value of the house, and the brothers equally split the additional 70% that it went up. Money, who is this like? So Rebbe is the one who says that he gets an extra portion even in the Shavach, that it goes up after the father dies. The Tanya, Ein Bechor Notel Pishnayim B'Shavach Sheshivchu Nechasim La'achar Mitas Avihen. That's the Chachamim. Rebbe Omer Ani Bechor Notel Pishnayim B'Shavach Sheshivchu Nechasim La'achar Mitas Avihen. Avalo B'Shavach Shehishbichu Yisomim La'achar Mitas Avihen. Like we said yesterday, even Rebbe agrees that if they take the money, the Yisomim, and they invest it, and it goes up 70% in the market, then the Bechor doesn't get double that additional 70%, because it was something that the Yisomim did, and that's why we said if the Yisomim go ahead and they're feeding the animal, they also don't get 70% in that animal or in the profits. But if it's just something that went up by itself because of the market, etc., so then Lamaisa, according to Rebbe, he would in fact get double that portion of the 70%. Yarshu shtarcho b'chor notel pishnayim. And he says further, Rebbe, that if they inherit a shtarcho, which says that the father has an IOU from somebody that says IOU $100,000, so since they have a shtarcho that says IOU, so the Bechor, will get an extra portion in that $100,000. But flip side, Yatza Aleh and Shtarchov, if there's an IOU that somebody brings that the father owes them money, then Bechor no Saint Pishnayim. Then the Bechor needs to give an extra portion in the IOU. Why is that? Because again, seemingly, when is this happening? This is happening after they already split up the money. So they split up the money. If before they split up the money, then they just sort of go and take it out of the pot before they split it up. But if they went ahead, welcome back. If they went ahead and they split up the money already, and he already got his Pishnayim, and now somebody comes and says, you owe me money, so he's going to have to give additional part of an additional portion for the money that they owe. However, if beforehand he wants to take that chance, it's a risk. But if you want to say, you know what, I'm not going to take a double portion, but I don't want to pay a double portion, an extra portion in anything that my father owes. So if he knows that his father was a man who has a lot of debt, then he's going to say, Eini rotev, eini notel, eini nosem, eini notel. If he knows his father doesn't have any debt, then he'll say, okay, I'll take the double, and then hopefully nobody will just show up and say, your father owed me money. Mai tamayu de Rabbanan. So what's the reason for the Rabbanan? What's the reason for Rebbe that the Bechor should or should not take the extra portion in the 70% that the house goes up? Amar Kra. So Rabbanan say that he doesn't get the Shevach Sheshivchu La'achar Mitas Avihen, because the pasuk says, Lo seis lo pishnayim. You give the guy Pishnayim. You give the Bechor Pishnayim. What does it mean, lases? Matana Kriya Rachmana. It's called a lases, like a matana. So it's considered to be a present. Ma matana adimat yaliyadeh. Just like a matana is until it comes into his hands. Av chelek Bechora adimat yaliyadeh. So to the chelek Bechor until it comes into his hands. Whose hands are we talking about? Whose hands is it coming into? So look at Rashbam. Halfway down the wide lines. Adimatya liyade dinosein. Why? We're comparing this profit to a person giving a matana. When I want to give you a matana, I can't give you a matana for something that's not yet in this world. Who's giving the matana here? The father is giving the matana. So if we say that a person who's giving a matana cannot give a matana unless he has it in this world, the father cannot give the matana, i.e. in our case, the shvach sheshivchu la'achar mitas avihem, he can't give that matana because it's not in this world yet when he dies. And therefore, lases lo pishnayim, if in fact the Yerusha is working like a matana, and this 70% was not here, that the house went up after the father died, so the Bechor will not get, based on the pasuk of lases lo pishnayim, the Bechor will not get an extra piece of that 70%, because again, after all, it's based on matana, and you can't give a matana that's not yet in this world. Therefore, the father cannot give a matana for something that was not yet in this world. Very interesting pshat. Lo seis lo pishnayim. That's Rabbanan's pshat. Rebbe who says that he does get an extra piece in the 70%. Rebbe Omer, what does Rebbe say? Amar Kra, don't look at the thing that says Lases lo, you're concentrating on the first part. Look at the Pishnayim. What could it have said? It could have said an extra portion. What is Pishnayim? Double. That makes it sound like the first part is exactly like the second part. Makish chelek bechora lechelek pashut. What do we know about the first part? What do we know about the chelek pashut? That all of the relatives collect what? They collect ra'oi kibim. You collect even something that's not yet collected, something that's not in this world. So ma chelek pashut avagav delomata liyadei. Here we're talking about it comes to the hands of the father. So to the chelik bechora, even though it is not yet in the father's hand, is 70%. Palamaisa, since we're comparing it to the regular chelik, which is roy, and roy we know by the regular chelik does go to the brothers, something that wasn't yet collected does go to the brothers. So to the bechora, al pishnayim, the fact that it compares the first part to the bechor part, lamaisa he's going to get a piece of that 70%, an extra piece. Very interesting. The problem is that we always have to say, so what are the rabbis going to do with the Rebbe's proof, and what's Rebbe going to do with the Rabbanan's proof? V'Rabbanan, once you start learning Gemara and over and again, so you catch on to what they're going to do next. V'Rabbanan nami haksiv pishnayim. So what are the Rabbanan going to say? It says pishnayim, it compares the chelek bechora to the regular chelek, therefore l'maiseh, he should get an extra portion in the shvach sheshavchu lachar mitas aviyam. Hahu l'meis v'lei achad mitzra. No, the pishnayim, when it compares the bechor part to the regular part, is not comparing it to the sense that you get as roy kibemuchzak. What it's saying is that the guy who gets the pishnayim, the brother, he gets his two portions next to each other. So for instance, if there are two brothers, so what do? You split up the land into three parts. One brother gets an additional portion, so again, it's going to be 2/3, but in general, he gets one additional portion. He's going to get two portions, and the other guy's going to get one portion. So what the Gemara is telling us is that we don't give the bechor the left portion and the right portion, and the other brother the portion in the middle. The bechor's portions need to be next to each other. So it could either be that he's definitely going to get the middle, and then he'll either get the right or the left. And that, how are we going to split that up? That's a separate discussion. If it's going to be a lottery, if it's going to be, etc. But he'll definitely get the middle portion, so that his two portions will be touching each other and not separated by each other from the middle person. That's what we learn from Pishnayim. For Rebbe Nami, that the both are going to be the same. For Rebbe Nami aksiv lasei slow. And what about Rebbe? It says that there's a matana. If it's a matana, seemingly you can't give a matana for something that wasn't around in your life. How can the father give the matana? Says the Gemara, no. Hahu sheim amar eninota ve'eninosein rashai. No, that doesn't teach that. Pishnayim teaches us that lemaisa, the chelek bechor is like the chelek pashut, and you do get roy kibbeh muchzak. What is lasei slow? What's a matana? You have a right to accept a matana. You don't have to accept a matana. When somebody gives you a present, you have a choice to accept it or not. So too, this guy has a choice whether he wants to accept the bechor or not. If he wants to take the double portion, then he's also on the hook for any debt that comes along the way afterwards. But if he chooses not to accept the double portion like a matana, then he's not going to be on the hook for any debt that comes along after he takes the portion.
What about the opposite way? How about chovos that are due to the estate? The father hasn't collected them yet. Are they considered roy shva'olam?
That's what we're talking about. What do you mean?
No,
that's what
the opposite way. I'm talking about
it says. Both yarshu shtarcho bechor notel pishnayim, yatsa lein shtarcho bechor noten pishnayim. That's what you're giving up. You're giving up any Yerusha, you're giving up any shtarchov that might come to the estate, or any shtarchov that came. You're giving up any shtarchov that's in the estate.
Can you change your mind? Can you take the Pishnayim?
No. Come on. Are you a bechor?
But you didn't know about the death.
That's the whole point. You didn't know about it.
You take the chance.
Therefore, you took the pishnayim. Again, I'm oversimplifying it, but seemingly you took the pishnayim. You took a chance. If you don't want to take a chance, that's why we said if your father was a person that borrowed a lot of money, you're going to be careful and you're not going to necessarily take the risk. But you can't wait and then after all the cheshbono say, okay, so $1 million came in and $3 million came out, so I'm not going to take the pishnayim. It doesn't sound like that would work.
Is there really any risk? You're only going to you're not really losing anything that you wouldn't have had anyway.
You're losing an extra portion.
But that extra portion came to you, because you got an extra portion. I mean, it balances out.
No, because let's say you had a $1,000 loan that you were owed, and you have $1 million loan that you owe. So again, I don't know exactly how that's going to work, but if you're going to give an extra portion, the $1 million divided by 5 brothers, you're going to have to get 1/6 of the $1 million. It's going to be a lot more than the $1,000 you're going to get. Again, oversimplifying it, but that's seemingly the way. Now, if we're not confused, which we hopefully aren't, but now we're going to get confused. Amar Papa, Dikla va'alim, Ara va'asik sirton, Dekule amalo pligi deshakil. Again, we said that according to the Rabbanan, you do not get a piece of that 70% that the house goes up because it's shivcha shelo shavchu b'chai aviv, and it's considered to be like a matana, which wasn't in this world. But he says that even the Rabbanan will agree, and of course Rebbe, but even the Rabbanan will agree that if you have a dekel, if you have an actual palm branch, and it becomes fat, it means it's a small palm branch and it grows and becomes bigger. Ara v'asik sirt, and you have the actual land, and then it grows sediment, or sediment comes onto the land. The kuliyama lo pligi de shakil. Even the Rabbanan will say that you get it. Why? Because it's the same exact item. This is a palm branch, and this is a palm branch. It's a skinny palm branch versus a fat palm branch. It's a field without sediment and a field with sediment, but it's still a field is a field is a field, and a palm branch is a palm branch is a palm branch. So Lamaisa, we're not going to consider to be shivchu sheshavach, that it went up, because at the end of the day, it's the actual item. And you get a piece of that item, you get double in that item.
So is your house too?
So, seemingly not, because, again, the house is a house is a house, but the $500,000 that the house is worth was not around at the time. This dekel was the same exact dekel. You're taking that exact dekel and you're going. But that house, again, that house is worth, the way the Gemara is looking at it, the house is worth $500,000 more. That $500,000 was not in this world at the time that the father died. This dekel was in the world when the father died. It grew a little bit, but it was in the world when the father died. Let's just see what the Gemara says. Ki pligi bechafura, we're going to get to that. Ki pligi bechafura v'haveshuvli. They argue, and the Rabbanan are going to say, the same does not apply by a chabura if you have a shoot of grain that becomes an ear of grain, because that's a different thing. Shlufafe v'havutame. If you have a blossom that becomes a tamar, that's two separate things. Blossom is one thing, tamar is a new thing. A shoot of grain is one thing, an ear of grain is another thing. Those are two different things. That you're not going to get a double portion in because it's a different thing. It wasn't in the world when the father left. That's what the Rabbanan would say. What's the difference? Demar savar shivcha demimela, mar savar ishtani. Mar savar, the Rabbanan says shivcha demimela, umar savar ishtani, and the Rabbanan, Rebbe says shivcha demimela. Again, this is the same thing as a house going up, like Rabbi's arguing. It's a house going up, and what's the difference? So it goes up by itself, just like a house goes up, this product goes up, and seemingly even this blossom that turns into a date, seemingly according to him, according to Rabbanan Kipligi, so according to Rebbe, you would also get a piece. You'd always get a piece of it unless the brothers actually put in money to it. Umar Savar Ishtani, and that's how we seem to paskin. The Rabbanan say no, Ishtani. Ha'esev lios chitin, v'aprochim lios tamarim, d'havei dover acher v'shem acher. If it's a new thing and a new name, so then Lamaisa, it's not going to work. But if it's the same thing and the same name, so then Lamaisa, it's going to work.
So if you have a date palm, and your father dies before it becomes dates, but it's just blossoming,
then Lamaisa, according to Rabbanan, you would not get double. But again, according to what we're saying with the house, so one can argue that Diklava Olim Ariva Asik Sirtin, Dikuliyamalo Pligi Deshakil. So now, again, I was arguing the other way, but now we could say that according to what we're saying here, is that the house is the house. So just like the palm is the palm and the thing and the aretz is the aretz, so the house is the house, and therefore you would get the extra. Even according to Rabbanan, you would get the 200, you would get the double portion in the $500,000 because it's the same exact house. But if you're dealing with a new thing where blossom becomes something or the house becomes an apartment building or something like that, then you would not get double. That's how it comes out. So Rabbanan would say you only get it when it's the same exact item. It's called the same exact shame. And again, seemingly at this point they would agree that if the house goes up in value between the time he dies and the time you split it, they would in fact agree that you do get a double portion. The difference is if you have something that changes its name, so then even in that case, Rebbe would say you still get a double portion in that, because again, it's basically something that went mimela by itself. And the Rabbanan would say, no, Ishtani, it changed into a new thing, and therefore, if it's a new thing, you will not get a double portion. That's what comes out. Amar Rabba Barchana Amar Rabbi Chia. Best type of psak you can get. Asa kedivri Rabbi Asa, kedivri Chamim Asa. And you ask a shayla, do whatever you want. Misaf golei alacha kerebi mechaver v'lo mechavirav, or alacha kerebi mechavirov afilu mechavirav. What's the pshat? What's the question? Well, we know that the halacha is usually like Rebbe. But the halacha is usually like Rebbe when it's Rebbe versus one other person. That's Chaveiro. But when it's Rebbe versus Chaveirav, all of his friends, an interesting lashon, like who's the friends here? The Chachamim. Here it's the Chachamim versus Rebbe Meir. Versus Rebbe, I'm sorry. So in that case, it might not be. And that's what they're not sure about. He was unsure whether we always pass like Rebbe, even against a majority of people. And that's why he said, whichever one you want, do like whoever you want. Amar of Nachman, Amar Rahav, Asur lasos kedivrei Rabbi. No, you can't do like Rabbi. Kasavar halacha keRabbi mechavero. Only when it's one-on-one. V'lo mechaverav. Not in this case when it's one versus many. For Rav Nachman nidei amar, and this is an interesting lashon. I didn't see Tosfos say anything on this. You have to look it up in the Rishonim when you're chazering. For Rav Nachman nidei amar mutter lasos kedivrei Rabbi. He said it's mutter to do like Rabbi. What should it have said? Chayav lasos kedivrei Rabbi. Kasavar halacha keRabbi mechavero v'afilu mechaverav. Mutter sounds like you're allowed to, but you're also allowed to do like the Rabbanan. Sounds like mutter because he holds Rabbi mechaver afil mechav. But if he holds that halachas keRabbi afil mechaverav, then it shouldn't be mutter, it should be chayiv. Okay, when you're chazering, you let me know. Amar Rava asur lasos kedivrei Rabbi. He says it's asur to do like Rabbi. However, he adds another layer, v'im asa asoy. But if you do it like him, it's allowed. Kasavar matin itmar. He says that it's matin itmar. What does matin mean? What does matin mean? Matin means to lean, to incline. So what's he adding here? He's just adding that according to the first opinion, asur lasos Rabbi, even b'diavad. According to the second opinion, mutter or chayav lasos Rabbi lechatchila. According to the third opinion, lechatchila you do like the Rabbanan, but b'diavad if you do like Rabbi, you're going to be yotzei. Tani Rav Nachman b'shar sifrei de beirav. Obviously, who's the bechor going to paskin like? The bechor is going to paskin like Rabbi, and the non-bechor is going to paskin like the Rabbanan. Zog the Gemara, Tani Rav Nachman, I'm a bechor, so I like Rabbi. Tani Rav Nachman b'shar sifrei de beirav. Rav Nachman says in the shar sifrei de beirav, quote, B'chol asher yimatzei lo. Anything that you find, what is that? Ki es bechor ben asnuah yakir latzeis lo pishnayim. You give him double. That was the pasuk we quoted before. B'chol asher yimatzei lo. And anything that they find of the fathers. B'chol asher yimatzei lo. Prat excludes l'shavach sheishbichu yorshin la'achar mitas avian. Who's that? Everybody. Even Rebbe agrees that if the yorshin go ahead and put the money and invest the money, so then nobody's going to get it. The bechor is not going to get double. Aval shevach sheshavchu nechasim la'achar mitas avian shakil. But that implies that it goes up by itself. The bechor will get double. Who's that? Umani Rebbe he. That's Rebbe. Tani Rami Bar Chama b'shar sifrei de beirav. Now the other way. Bechol asher yimatzei lo is not prat for the yorshin. Prat l'shevach sheshivchu nechasim la'achar mitas avian. Who's that? That's the Rabbanan. V'chol shekein shevach sheishbichu yorshin la'achar mitas avian delo shakil. That's everybody. Umani Rabbanan he. So again, that's Rabbanan. So you either have Rebbe or you have the Rabbanan. Fine. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel. Ein bechor notel pishnayim b'milveh. He holds that a bechor does not get pishnayim b'milveh, and the Rashbam says even b'shtar. Means if there's a shtar that the father is owed money, so then he will not get pishnayim. Now that's not like we just said up on the top of the other daf, because on the top of the other daf we said that he has a choice, but if he chooses to take all the risks, then he is going to get double. So we'll see who this is like. Ein bechor notel pishnayim b'milveh. Liman, who's that according to? Eilim Rabbanan. If that's according to the Rabbanan, hashta shivcha de isei b'rshutei amri Rabbanan lo shakil milveh mibai. It can't be the Rabbanan because it's pashut. Because according to the Rabbanan, even the house which is in their possession and it goes up, Lamai said the bechor doesn't get double. Obviously, a halva, a loan that's not in the possession of the family, he's not going to get double in when they collect it. That's obvious. Ela Rebbe, it must be according to Rebbe. But if it's according to Rebbe, velahad detanya yarshu shtarchov. Bechor notel pishnayim bein b'milveh bein b'ribis money lo Rebbe v'lo Rabbanan. If they inherit a shtar chov, so then the bechor notel pishnayim bein milveh bein ribis. He's going to get the pishnayim, whether it's the milveh or it's the ribis. Why is that not Rebbe? Because he seemingly would not get the ribis. Why would he get the ribis? The ribis wasn't in this world yet. The ribis is not something shvach sheshivchu. It's something that wasn't even here at all. So that's not Rebbe. I think that's what the Gemara is saying again. Fine. Ela le Rebbe. Velhadetanya yarshu shtarchov. Bechor notel pishnayim bein b'milveh bein b'ribis. Money lo Rebbe v'lo Rabbanan. Is that not Rebbe and is that not Rabbanan? So let's see. The Gemara is going to say Olam le Rabbanan. It is the Rabbanan. V'itzterech. What do you mean? Salka daita chamina milveh kevan denakit shtar kamanda gavya damya kamash malan. So the Gemara says no. It could be Rabbanan. How could it be Rabbanan? We just said if you don't get the price that goes up in the house, which you actually have in your possession, you're going to get the halvan. So it's the Rabbanan, and he needs to tell you that you would have thought that once you have the halva, kevan denakit shtar kamanda gavya damya kamash malan. B'chol asher yimatzei lo. that ein bechor notal pishnayim b'milva. Who's the ein bechor notal pishnayim b'milva? That's the Rabbanan. Why should he not get bechor? Why is it not pashut? We said it's pashut. No, it's not pashut. Because even though in the house, the Rabbanan say that when it goes up in value, you don't get the pishnayim, maybe the hava would be considered that since you have the star, it's as if you actually collected the loan. You literally have the star in your hand. It's as if the father had the star. The father had the star before he died. So you should say it's as if the father collected the loan and it was actually in his possession before he died. Kamash malan, that having the star is not enough to say that it was in his father's possession. And just like when the house goes up in value, the bechor is not going to get pishnayim of the difference. So too, the star is not considered to have been collected, and therefore, when it is ultimately collected after the father dies, the bechor will not get pishnayim. That's what ein bechor notel pishnayim b'milva is. That's according to Rabbanan. And the lien on any land does not enter into any discussion. According to Rabbanan, the fact that there's a lien on the land, it's not as if it was collected, and therefore, Lamaisa, when it is collected, it was something that actually came after the father died, and according to the Rabbanan, again, we would consider. So when it says, ein bechor notel pishnayim b'milveh, that's according to the Rabbanan. Shalchu mitam, they sent from Eretz Yisrael, bechor notel pishnayim b'milveh avalo beribis. So they get b'milveh avalo beribis. Says the Gemara, leman, who is that? Eli mele Rabbanan, hashta shivcha de'isei birshusei amri Rabbanan delo shakil, milveh mibaye. So again, this is interesting because the Gemara is basically using the same svara, but now the Gemara is saying, the Gemara doesn't answer, no, it's the Rabbanan, but lamaisa, right? Bechor notel pishnayim b'milveh, we're saying that he doesn't get pishnayim b'milveh. Because again, according to the Rabbanan, we said that even though you have the actual star, it's not as if you collected it. And we said that they hold ein bechor notel pishnayim, so it can't be him. Ela l'Rebbe. But the question is, according to Rebbe, beribis lo, according to Rebbe, you should get the ribis too. Ratani Rebbe omer bechor notel pishnayim ben milveh ben beribis. Says the Gemara, le'olam Rabbanan hi. Umal ve'kiman degav yadamya. Now the Gemara says it's going back. Now it's the opposite. Now the Gemara is saying that in fact the Rabbanan will agree that you get pishnayim in the hava, and the fact that there's a star, it's as if the father collected the star before he died, and therefore even if you don't get double in the house, you're going to get in the hava. So it comes out that the Rabbanan say that you do not get the shvach sheshivchu la'achar mitas avihen, and Rebbe says you do get the shvach. We saw on the bottom of Kuf Chav Daled Amud Aleph that even the Rabbanan will agree that if it's the actual same exact item which fattens up, for instance the house, so then you will get the shvach, because at the end of the day, it's the actual item. Where are they arguing about? They're arguing when it actually changes name. So again, everybody will agree when the house goes up. Even the Rabbanan will agree that you do get pishnayim as a bechor. The question is when the actual item changes from being a branch or being a blossom to being a tamar. In that case, Rebbe would still say, since it's the same item, Rebbe will say that it's a shvach sheshivchu, even if it's called something else. It's shvach sheshivchu, and the bechor will get pishnayim. According to Rabbanan, when it changes names, when it changes the actual makeup, then he will not get. And when it comes to a hava, then we weren't sure. We went back and forth. But we said that ein bechor notel pishnayim b'milveh originally. That's what we thought. And then we wanted to say that maybe no. Maybe the Rabbanan would actually hold that even by a milveh, you would get pishnayim. Why would you get pishnayim by a milveh? Because at the end of the day, we consider it to be kaman degav yadamya. It was already collected since you have the actual thing here. It's as if they was collected. But it seems like the Gemara, especially with the aleph over there on the halfway down, it seems like the Gemara is paskening that ein bechor notel pishnayim b'milveh, that according to the Rabbanan, the bechor would not get pishnayim b'milveh because we don't consider it to be collected by the father before he dies, and therefore, according to the Rabbanan, it would be the same as shvach that was shivchu after mitas aviem, and therefore, lamaisa, it comes out that according to the Rabbanan, the milveh, you would not be able to get double as the bechor, and according to Rebbe, you would in fact be able to get double as the bechor, and you'd get double not only in the hava, but you'd get double in the ribis that a goy gives as well. We'll stop here because it's short off tomorrow, and we'll pick up with the new topic.